far, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to hear my full story. Hopefully you got lots of useful tips and motivation from part 2 to help keep you going in recovery and to help things go a lot smoother. Let's do a quick recap of part 2 before we move on to the third and final chapter of my recovery journey. Okay, so number 1, make sure in your recovery that you are eating to full satiation, and that includes both physical hunger and mental hunger. You may be physically full, but if you are still thinking about food nonstop, you need to be eating. Number 2, make sure that you are removing all exercise for a minimum of 60 to 90 days to help your body and your metabolism to recover much faster. Number 3, make sure that you have some form of a support system, whether that is a family member or a recovery coach. Number 4, make sure that you are saturating your brain with eating disorder recovery information every single day. YouTube videos, books, you need to teach your brain that this is now your current belief system, and it will help to reassure you that you're doing the right things. And number 5, look into the law of attraction and begin to apply the principles to help your recovery go along a lot quicker. If you're new to this channel, I'm Jessie Riemann, and I'm a certified eating disorder recovery coach, personal trainer, and manifestation coach. And on this channel, we talk about overcoming eating disorders and body dysmorphia and how to manifest your dream life by using self-love techniques and by building more confidence. As I always say, I'm here to help you fire that negative inner self-critic and help you unleash your inner confident badass. So where we left off, where I was at the 1-year mark with my recovery, I had healed my relationship with food, I had eradicated 13 gut infections, I was feeling a lot better about myself, and my relationship with exercise was getting a lot better. But as I had mentioned to you guys, I was still extremely frustrated with the weight gain, and I was focused a lot of the time on the weight not coming off, as well as the fact that my health and energy just still weren't as improved as I had hoped. Now, I'm a pretty introspective girl, so I knew that there had to be some deeper reason that I wasn't getting fully recovered yet. So the more I thought about it, I realized that I was absolutely horrible at setting boundaries, that I was a chronic people pleaser, and that I would get sick every single time I subconsciously needed an excuse to say no to people, and that I felt guilty for needing to take the time to take care of myself. So I mentioned this to my naturopathic doctor, and he recommended a very unconventional therapist to me that he himself had had a lot of success with. Now, I was extremely skeptical because I had already been through different kinds of therapists and so many doctors in the past. And so I kind of hemmed and hawed around the idea of even contacting this guy for probably another good 6 months. So at the 1.5-year mark, I made the decision to contact this therapist. And he was a clinical hypnotherapist, an EFT therapist, and an Enneagram mentor. Now, I had never heard of EFT or the Enneagram, and I was really intrigued. So I'll explain those in just a second. And this was not what I was used to with therapists, where normally you have a therapist who sits there with a clipboard and just kind of goes, and how did that make you feel? And how did feeling that make you feel? And just going on and on and on, bringing up your childhood and never really getting anywhere. No. So we started out with EFT, and EFT I'll kind of try to explain it. So you have a system of acupressure points in your body, and you hold trauma in different parts of the body. So EFT it stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, or Emotional Freedom Tapping. And so you'll have this series of tapping points that as you're going through, your therapist will have you say different affirmations. So what they're trying to do is bring up the emotion of that trauma or insecurity as high as you can possibly get it through this process. And then as this therapist takes you through the different affirmations, it somehow allows that trauma to be released from the body. Now, I'm no expert, but as I went through EFT, that's how I was able to experience just how powerful it really is. I mean, things from my childhood that I was still carrying with me in adulthood that were clearly affecting my ability to recover from the eating disorder. And in just one session each, that we focused on each individual issue, I was able to bring like a 10 out of 10, just angry or just breaking down in tears, fear, whatever, down to like a 2 out of 10 or a 0 even. Now, the Enneagram is like a personality system. Now, I'm sure you've taken tons of personality tests in the past. I have too. But this I've found to be the most simplistic and accurate I have ever come across. And it is made up of 9 basic personality types. And once you are able to discover yours, then it helps you to realize your basic needs, fears, and everything that is holding you back in life, essentially, especially with eating disorders. So you will be one of the types from 1 to 9, and then next to, I'll put the diagram right here so that you can get an idea of what it looks like. Now, what I discovered, just as an example, is that I'm a type 2, which is what's called the helper-giver. Now, next to the 2, you'll see the 1 and the 3. So one of those is what's called my wing. Now, this complements your basic personality. So once you know both of those, you get so bang on accurate with who you are and what all your, like I said, deep fears and needs are. So I am a 2 with a 3 wing. So the 3 is the achiever and the performer. So what this meant in terms of how it was going to help me to become fully recovered was to help me see that I, again, had no boundaries. I was in constant need for love and approval from other people. Always feeling that it is my responsibility to help others and to put them before myself, having the deep drive to achieve and to succeed, but always being afraid to do anything for myself, to ask for help, or to meet my own needs for fear of being seen as selfish and just being terrified that no one would love and accept me. So we used EFT to bring the emotions from my childhood of things like not feeling good enough to my mother and just other deep fears and insecurities, as I described to you before, way up to the surface through those different acupressure points, and then using EFT to release those fears and traumas from my body. It's really hard to explain until you do it, but it's incredible, like I said, just how powerful this technique really is. And he used the Enneagram to help teach me things like how to set healthier boundaries and how to speak up for my own needs and how to learn how to better comfort and support myself so as not to rely so much on other people and rather to help me learn how to trust myself and build myself up. But not every single Enneatype needs to focus on the same things that I did. So just with what I've seen using the Enneagram with my own clients, let's take, for example, a type 9 who has trouble expressing themselves because they have a deep need to keep the peace. So oftentimes what I'll see is that type 9s tend to binge a lot because their emotions and what they want to say to people kind of start to come up, and then they stuff those feelings back down with food. Or we could take a type 4. Sometimes I see type 4s because they have this deep need to feel special and significant, will oftentimes starve themselves and try to create this perfect body just to seem special and significant. Or we could take a type 6 who has a deep fear of feeling unsafe or not feeling secure. And so sometimes what I'll see is that they become orthorexic as a way to feel that they have a sense of safety by only eating what they consider to be safe foods. So as you can see, there are many different ways that the Enneagram can apply to eating disorder recovery depending on what your personality type is. But I think that the most important thing that he taught me was how to deeply and completely love and accept myself, and how to believe that it is completely necessary and okay to do so. Now, I am eternally grateful to this therapist because he taught me so many valuable things and gave me so many phenomenal tools to help myself, and he truly changed my life. So I have to preface the following by just saying how truly and humbly grateful I am to him. However, I do not feel comfortable sharing his contact information with you because some serious professional and personal boundaries were crossed, and I don't feel comfortable referring you to anybody that I don't feel 100% confident about referring you to. However, EFT and the Enneagram are fantastic tools for recovery and self-improvement, and there are many EFT therapists out there, as well as tons of EFT YouTube videos to help you get started. I also teach the Enneagram as part of my coaching, so I can help you discover your specific Enneatype and explain how this can help you overcome your specific deep-rooted issues with disordered eating and self-esteem and confidence. Now, the final piece of what led me to full recovery kind of goes along with what we were talking about in the last video about the law of attraction. And I decided to apply that to the way I think about my body and the way I talk about my body. So I started to absolutely refuse to think about or speak about my body in a negative, hateful way for very long. So if I would catch myself thinking anything negative about my body, like maybe I'd look at myself in the mirror and, point out some kind of perceived flaw, I would stop myself as quickly as possible and say, no, I'm not going to be abusive to my body anymore, and I would force myself to say something nice. Now, some days I was confident enough to take my negative self-talk and turn it into something like, I look amazing and I am beautiful, and other days it was something more like, my body is so strong and it's gotten me through so much already. I just made sure to find a way to make the way I spoke about myself kinder and more loving. Because remember, whatever you tell your brain, it will believe you. And what your brain believes about your body, it will find a way to make show up in your reality. So if you tell your brain over and over that you're fat, you have poor health, and that you can't recover, your brain is like, okay, you like talking negatively about yourself, so here are some more negative things to think about yourself. Oh, you can't recover? Oh, you don't want to. Okay, so here are some more reasons to go back to the eating disorder. And let's hold on to any weight you gain because you said you have a slow metabolism. You get the picture? Okay, so if you instead start speaking to yourself in a nicer and more positive way, then your brain starts working to find a way to help you. So your brain will start to sound a little more like this. Oh, so you're saying you can recover. And you're saying nice things to yourself, so that must mean you like this. And when your brain is convinced that you like doing something, it will work with you to help you do it. And when you tell your brain that you actually appreciate and like your body, then your brain goes, oh, you like your body. Well, let me give you more reasons to like your body. And we don't need to hold on to any excess weight, so we can let go. Now, this is exactly what started happening for me gradually over the next year and a half of my recovery. I noticed that the better I treated my body and the nicer I was to myself, the more my body would start to release some of the overshoot. Now, this happened in really small increments for me. So I would notice that my clothes were a little bit looser, and then I would stay there for a few months. And then I would notice it again. So all of a sudden my clothes would be a little bit looser. And then I'd stay there again for a few months, and this would continue to repeat over the course of the next 2 years. Now, one day I noticed that I felt significantly different than I had when I reached my highest point in my recovery. And so I decided to take some pictures and put them side by side with the pictures I had taken at my highest weight in recovery. And I could not believe the difference. I had proved to myself that eating disorder recovery really worked. And so next I decided to document if there had been any weight changes, and I was fully prepared for whatever that scale may have said, because I had worked on my self-love and self-acceptance so much so that no matter what that said, I still knew that recovery had worked for me. But pleasantly, I was surprised to see that I had actually lost 30 pounds over the course of about 2.5 years. And I just couldn't believe it. And again, this was absolute proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that everything I had done to get fully recovered really did work. All the while, and still to this day, eating whatever I want. I have progressively had the energy to be able to exercise a little bit more, so it'll be anywhere from 1 to 3 days a week, and the only things that I do are either 20 minutes max of body weight exercises or learning dance routines, because dance is my all-time favorite form of exercise. I back all the way off of exercise some weeks when I'm not feeling well or I'm too exhausted. I just listen to my body. I'm telling you guys, sometimes I do not exercise at all. I don't weigh myself at all anymore. And I do not allow myself to think or talk negatively about my body or myself for very long at all. Every single time, catch it as quickly as I possibly can and flip it into something more positive. So to sum this all up, reaching full recovery, in my opinion, is about discovering the deep root cause that's underneath the eating disorder, learning new and healthier ways to cope with your specific personality struggles, which is very helpful to do through the Enneagram, and turning any negative, hateful, critical self-talk into more positive, loving self-talk every single day of your life until you believe it. Refuse to allow one more second of tearing yourself down, because look where it's gotten you. It is never going to make you a happier, healthier, more confident person. But choosing to tell yourself that you're strong and capable and amazing and a confident badass will. It truly changed my life. It's exactly what got me to full recovery, and I promise you that this will work for you too. So thank you so much for listening to my story, and I'm more than happy to help you figure out your Enneatype and get to the root cause of your eating disorder and help you get 100% fully recovered. So you can email me at donewithdietingllc@gmail.com if you would like to set up a complimentary 20-minute Skype consultation so we can see if we would be a good fit for coaching. If you like this video and would like to see more videos like this, please subscribe and click the bell so you never miss an update. And if you found this video helpful, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. It really does help us to reach more people who also wish to learn how to have more confidence, how to love themselves more, and how to be done with dieting. Bye, guys.